Okay everybody, I recorded this video last night, which was a very late Friday night, and I sounded miserable, so I'm re-recording it right now, which is early Saturday morning. I am going over the 89 Sabers Dooku V3. If you've been in the Saber game for a minute, you've seen this box before. Pretty standard for 89 Sabers, nice textured, well constructed box. And inside you have the hilt itself, which is this beautiful piece of work, which is it's mirror chrome plated finished brass. It's very hefty. That's the majority of the body from claw down to about here. Here we've got some looks like some bead blasted aluminium. Yeah, and then you got some more chrome plated brass down at the bottom here. Two switches. You got a switch here and a switch here, and then you've also got an additional one, an optional one up here, if you wish to install it. I like this one, I really do. So this whole hilt comes with a PCB that a switch PCB that can be installed underneath this plunger here, which then you have to hardwire through. Speaking of wiring up, this is an absolute pig of a hilt to install. There's no way around it. Underneath the claw, I think there should be some more retention screws to hold down PCB holders. There isn't. Your blade retention screw is up here, by the way. There's very tight space still in the pommel. There's very tight space in this area here for the profi board, and very tight space here for your battery. Yes, I'll do a run through on the install. Since I have a chassis available to purchase at the Saberbay. But yeah, it's a difficult one. And guys, if you're going to get this hilt and you're going to get installed, make sure you send it to somebody who knows what they're doing, who can plan ahead of time. This is not an easy install. This requires some expertise. Yeah. Anyway, right, moving on. So to gain access to the high amp kill switch inside, there's only one screw holding this entire hilt together. I'll use my nasty, very old flathead screwdriver to remove that screw, slide it out, and so you can see here, this is the battery part of the chassis with a stock NPXL 2-switch PCB, high amp kill switch just there. The profi board is retained underneath the red trigger. One tip for wiring this all up: the profi board holder and the battery holder, wire them external to the hilt, and make sure that the wires are running from the back of the profi board through the battery section are nice and tight in between the two parts of the chassis. And then this shield, which is fully detachable via these two screws here, can be slid over the profi board holder and then onto the battery holder, and then you can slide it all into the elbow sleeve. And the idea is that the profi board will always stay underneath the red trigger. And then to gain access to the profi board, to the USB port and the SD card, which are pointing down to the pommel, you only have to remove this Covertech screw and pull out very carefully this assembly, very carefully until it reaches the point where the cage that is attached to the pommel is fully out of the elbow sleeve, and then you have got access to your profi board. But you have to leave the wires that go from the profi board or the battery to the pommel where your recharge port is. You have to, and the speaker, you have to leave all of those wires a little bit longer so you can do that, so you can remove this section without pulling on your profi board and possibly ruining your install. So that's why I say it's very important that you get somebody who knows what they're doing, or if you've got the confidence to do it yourself, take your time, plan ahead. I recommend installing this PCB at the last part of this entire assembly, because then you've got at least wires here that you can pull through to just get it a little bit tighter, and then snip them and then solder them down and push the PCB down into place. That's my tip. Right, so whilst we're here, we'll show you the speaker and recharge port. The Hilt has this gold plated brass screw on the side, which, there we go, I'll remove that. And then pull that forward. There's your pommel, and there's your speaker pod and your PCB connection right there. And hopefully you guys can see this. You can see the 1.3mm recharge port in there to recharge your battery, since you cannot access it whatsoever, and the two pogo pins that connect to your speaker. Now you might be wondering why I've used spring-loaded battery tabs inside the chassis. I didn't personally have any any batteries I could hardwire in to the install. I do have a very old beat up 18650 3500 milliamp battery, which is what I've used. And so when a battery gets tired, you still got that option to remove it once you disassemble the entire assembly and replace it. That's the wrong screw. That's the way I just thought I'd do it. It's easier for me to install these spring-loaded battery tabs than it is to try and hardwire a battery in if I didn't have one. It's up to you. You don't have to use your battery tabs. You can just stick a battery in and hardwire it in. Entirely up to you, but you've got that option to do as I have done as well. So that side, nice, easy, simple. So when you take it apart, all you need to do is flick on the kill switch, stick it to the side for the moment, and then on this side here I have got the other half of the stock MPXL double switch PCB that you can see there. I recommend you install that into the PCB holder and slide it down here first as part of the fixed part of the chassis install, and then run your wires through and install the emitter PCB last. Hopefully you can see that. So what you do, once you've got your wires through from the MPXL2 switch connector, run all your wires through, slide this side's PCB holder down there, run your wires through to your switch if you're using it, and then solder up your PCB and then connect it to your PCB holder and slide it on down, and it should semi-retain itself. Mine has, which is quite nice. Yeah. Tricky install. Very tricky. Do take your time if you're going to do it yourself. Make sure you get it right. I attempted to install it incorrectly and it went really badly. So I ended up redoing it. And lucky enough, when I thought about how to do it properly in the method that I have explained, probably very poorly, it worked really well. Really well. Ironically, I can't see what I'm doing. I'm about to pick up some new glasses today. There we go. Just tying that down. This one screw holds the whole hilt together, just like so. Get that blade plug back in. So it's a nice shine through on the blade plug. So I've made these two switches down here power buttons, and I've made this one an aux button up here.
Don't insult me.
And because the Profi board is way down here and at an angle that is not in line with the blade, I have left the twist on and twist off off the config because it wouldn't be useful anyway. I think I've got swing on. Yeah.
Master Dooku.
So I've got a whole load of sound fonts in this from Jessic Kyberphonic. Let's install a quick short blade so you can see something lit up. So that's a 22mm speaker down there, and it's still incredibly loud.
Master, don't insult.
It is obvious that this contest cannot be decided by our knowledge of the Force.
But by our skills with a lightsaber. It's a beautiful fingerprint magnet. It's a really nice hilt, and it's covered in my greasy fingerprints. I love it. It's a great looking hilt, but man oh man, it's a difficult install. Not for beginners. If I've struggled with it, that goes to show how difficult it is. Designing the chassis was the easy part. Installing it is the hard part, which is weird to say, but hey, that's the way it is on this one. But yeah, it's beautifully weighty, well constructed. I do love it. I do wish it had a removable battery, which could be done if you fancy taking a Dremel to the cage that's around the battery section, which I don't recommend doing. I don't like when hilts require you to do additional machining to get them to work or function correctly. The idea of this, I knew I'd do that. The idea of this from 89 Sabers is that it's a hardwired battery. But there we go. There we have it. Right, that's the 89 Sabers Dooku. Very nice hilt. Just a difficult install. Right, that's it for this video. I will come back very soon with another video going over the 2 is best hilt by myself and Saberbay. Thanks guys, see you in the next video. Bye.